Howdy, insufferable gaming fans, your old pal SirRosser here. Today, I'm kicking off a game that I saw some videos of and decided that I had to have. It is called Kerbal Space Program, and it is pretty awesome. Basically, what we have here right now is a sandbox space program simulator. You can get it on Steam right now for a reduced price until they've completely fleshed out the full version. When it finalizes, it's going to have lots of missions and career modes and stuff. Right now it's the sandbox, but that's okay because we can come up with our own missions and objectives. We build our own rockets, we send them into space, we do stuff in space. So, I figured we'd just kind of start from scratch and play around for a bit until I get to where I am an expert spacefarer, and eventually I will be king of outer space. So, in this game, right now in the sandbox mode, we can build and launch and navigate and pilot rockets and space planes. So, what's our mission right now? Well, I'm glad you asked. Right now, our mission is what any space program starts out as a mission: to build the most phallus-shaped rocket we can fathom and see where it goes. We have to start with a command pod for a crew. We could use an unmanned probe, but the problem with that is they run out of electricity. You can see you've got all these different kinds of pods and probes and whatnot. We're just using the basic 3-man pod. So, you know, you make your rocket, you can look around. And again, our first objective here is to make the most phallus-shaped rocket we can come up with and just blast it off. That's how space programs work. I know this because I'm an expert. We've got structural bodies, and we can also put on propulsion. For these initial attempts, we'll use solid fuel boosters. I find these are the easiest ones, the RT-10s. We'll just stick one of those down there. We'll rotate this around a bit, and we'll put a couple more on. Because I'm a moron. And clearly I have the maturity of an 8-year-old. We'll stick one of those there, stick one of these here. Yep, that's one dick-shaped rocket. I don't think this module is the best. Let's find something a little more reasonable. Here we go. We'll just pop this right on here. As you can see, you can click and drag parts and whatnot. You can use this for symmetry, to where you put several parts on in symmetrical fashion. So before you let me know about it, I assure you I already know about it. I'm just ignoring it because, again, we have a mission. We can calculate center of mass. It's quite off-center, that's fine. Center of lift. Center of thrust. I don't really know what all of these terms mean, but we'll find out as we go along. For right now, we're just dicking around. So, let's go to launch and see what we get. Yep, that's a dick-shaped rocket, alright. Now, in this mode, you can do several things. You can throttle up and down, completely useless with solid fuel boosters. You can turn on your SAS, which is kind of like the auto guidance system, or RCS, which is the rocket controlled system, which is good for if you have no atmosphere. But I'm boring you. Let's just see what we can do. We've got our brave crewman Jebediah Kerman, who's ready to make himself noble. And let's just have a little countdown. 3, 2, 1. Blast off! Oh yeah! We're doing flips! Oh god, Jebediah Kerman splattered all over the place. But we achieved our objective. Afterwards, you can get yourself a synopsis of your flight. Let's go back to vehicle assembly and try to get this a little more balanced. We'll go back to propulsion. We'll use these again, and we'll use symmetry mode. In this manner, we can... Oh, should probably pop this one off too. There we go. Using symmetry mode, we can kind of just automatically put things exactly symmetrical. Much better for our overall goal. And as long as we're playing around, we can go to aerodynamics and stick some nose caps on those. There, that'll reduce drag. Let's try this again. See where we get. Wait for it to load. And 3, 2, 1. We have ignition. See, that's traveling much more straight up because things are not quite so unbalanced. Now we can steer. We can alter the pitch, yaw, and roll with our WADS keys and also Q and R. But can't really do much with those. Q and E, I mean. We can, looks like we can alter the roll. Doesn't really do much good because we do not have any sort of steering on this thing. But you can see we made it a lot higher there. We're floating majestically above the planet Kerbal, I want to say. Yeah, Kerbal. That sounds about right. Let's just go into a nice spin here. That seems like fun. We can kind of see the horizon there. You can see our altitude here and how much of the atmosphere is affecting us, which is important in aerodynamics. And this is our current speed. And you can see we're heading down now as our altimeter is declining quickly. I wonder where we'll land. I'll bet it's somewhere near the launch pad. Yeah, little kind of variances in weight and center of mass will determine how you fall, how you fly, where you go. Down here you have your trackball, which if we could actually steer would matter, but we can't. So for now we're just going to kind of spin around like a jackass while falling straight towards the planet's surface. This isn't so much a space program at this point as Rosser's super fun, super dark guided missile program. Or unguided missile program in this case. Yep, we'll be hitting the ground. Oh, also you can speed up or slow down using the period and comma keys. These have various effects at the moment. You can't use all of the different speed options all the time, so you gotta kind of be careful with it. See, that was good. We got a lot higher before crashing and burning. Now let's try some aerodynamics. We can stick canards and wings and whatnot. I don't fully understand what all of these things do, but we will eventually figure it out. That's what I'm banking on. Eventually figuring things out. Let's stick those there. Wait, we could actually just kind of read a synopsis of what they do. Every part has a little piece of fluff text. I'm not sure how this will do in steering us, but why don't we just launch it and find out. Now we're getting more of a jetty kind of look. 3, 2, 1, left. Yeah, now you can see we can use these to screw up a lot. I'm using the wads to try to navigate the trackball and... Whoa, whoa, whoa. I should have turned on the autopilot. It's not as hard to navigate using the trackball as you think once you kind of get the hang of it. Although, it's not completely... Oh, we stayed up long enough to burn out our engines. Where will we land? That was a good splatter. We made it a fairly good distance from the launch pad. Alright, next step. We can add the SAS module, which I believe is under control. Yep, we've got regular and advanced SAS modules. Let's put a regular advanced SAS module on here. Like so. That might make it a little bit easier to keep things pointed skywards. Take a look at our center of mass. Again, I don't entirely know how this works, but we'll figure it all out eventually. Let's see if we can get get some good lateral movement going on this one. That'll be our next objective. Moderate lateral movement. Before we launch, we're going to hit T to engage the SAS. That'll make it easier to keep things skyward. 3, 2, 1. Yeah. We'll go straight up for a bit, and then I'll angle it just a bit. Ooh, that's, the SAS is doing too good a job. Let's turn it off, and oh. And we've managed to cock things up pretty well here. Let's see if we can gain control of things, and then... Nope, nope, wait. I've got it, and the... Oh. Thrusters burnt out. Well, we managed to make some lateral progress. See, now we can kind of steer a bit better. Or we could have. I do believe... Wait, here we go. Yeah, you gotta turn SAS off first. So let's see if we can land nose first. Well, we can't really because we're too bottom heavy. For some reason, we're still headed upwards. Not sure why that is. Nope, we're heading down. We must have floated a bit on that one. Also, it doesn't help that my fat fingers keep hitting the wrong buttons. But we have touchdown. Oh, the humanity. So, let's check out a couple more options before we call it a day. I'm doing this incrementally for a reason, and that's kind of because that's how I had exposure to this. Let's put some utilities in. For instance, a parachute would be awesome. Let's use this one. That looks ridiculous. How about this one? Still ridiculous. I know. We'll put a radially attached parachute, which is not a real term, but one that I've just invented. We'll stick it right here. Yeah. And also, we can use decouplers, which is what you use when you want to drop assorted parts of the ship after they're burnt out. So if we use a decoupler, let's see, that should be in structural. Ah yes, decouplers. We'll stick one of these down here and tie that to it. And then here you have the staging. This is what happens every time you hit the space bar. Starting at the bottom, we hit the space bar and these engines go off. We hit it again and this decoupler blows. We hit it a third time and the parachute deploys. So let's see if we can get anywhere like this. Let's go to launch. We'll wait a moment. Hit the SAS. 3, 2, 1, launch. Yeah, we're heading up now. Now at any time, if we hit the space, that will activate our decouplers. Right now, we're in this stage. When we hit space, it'll be this stage. So we can do it before the rockets burn out if we want. Let's turn off SAS and head this way a bit. Turn it back on. There. We've decoupled and sent that thing careening into God knows where it will explode. So now we've got this stage left, and if we hit space again, it'll deploy the parachute. But let's wait till we get a little closer to the ground. We can speed up time to a fevered pitch. We're still rising because we had a lot of thrust in that thing. Yep, now we're heading down 4 times speed. When we get a little closer, we'll slow it back down and deploy the parachute. Alright. And deploy. See, now we have a chance of getting, who's that? Greg Z. Kerbal back to the ground and his family safely. And don't worry, the parachute will puff out when it gets a little bit closer to the ground. You'll see, it'll do it. Any second now. Any second now. Any second now? I think it's got to get below 500 meters. Yep, there it went. Now there's just a nice gentle descent. We'll speed it up a bit. We don't want to leave it sped up the whole time because it's still a work in progress, and that will in fact cause horrible explosion-y glitches if you leave it on the whole time, but we can speed it up a little, get closer to the ground, and you'll see now we can just kind of gently float to the ground. Splash down in the ocean. Very nice. And from there we can just hit escape and end flight. And you'll see we had a lot less explosion-y goodness, but a lot more survivability in that one. So that's kind of the gist of it. I'd like to make a lot more assorted wacky rockets and space planes and come up with some objectives, you know, do stuff like achieve stable orbits, maybe land on the moon, that kind of thing. And I'd also like to hear y'all's opinions, so just leave them in the comments, ideas for designs, ideas for objectives, and we'll leave it there for now. Until next time, this is your old pal, the President of Outer Space, SirRosser. Yeah, I'm the President of Uranus at best. Take a drink.